hello, hi, and welcome to all our hearts and minds. Thank you again for tuning in. We're here to discuss all things that have been on our hearts and minds, the good and the bad, the concerning and uplifting, or just straight talk. We're your hosts, Kimmy, our passionate heart,
Yeah.
and me, Jeanette, our mind and chronic overthinker. Let's get into it.
Yes, please and thanks. Lots to
Okay,
say.
lots to say. I know, what a week, but you doing okay? First, we always have
I'm
to do our
doing
checkup.
okay. Yes, checkup is necessary. I'm doing all right. I can't complain. It was a pretty good week,
That's good to
How
hear.
about yourself?
Yeah, it was a weird week. It was a weird week. So I had that incident with my nephew. Had a really bad car accident, but he's okay, thank goodness.
Thank you, Lord
Thank
Jesus.
God. I don't know how he made it, but I'm not questioning God's mercy on his life. So
Mm-mm.
just happy he made it home. He's just gonna have
Yes.
to heal up his leg, but the most important thing is he's alive, and whatever happened to him is healable. So no
Yeah.
permanent damage.
Well,
Also,
speaking of, my
yes,
aunt actually just went in for surgery.
yes,
This past week, she was diagnosed with lung cancer, and so they went in to try to extract all the cancerous cells.
hmm
Everything looks successful. Everything, seems successful. They monitored her,
hmm
and she's home now, so that's a good sign.
yeah, it's a good sign.
Yeah, so it's been a lot to emotionally deal with, but
hmm
overall, I'm okay. Hmm.
Yeah, those are things that we have to. Yeah, and that's why those are things. Even though it might not directly be our circumstance, it still affects our how we feel
Hmm.
and how we go to the
Definitely,
week. So
yeah.
this week I was just very like I don't know what to call it. Like I'm glad he's okay. It sucks that it happened, but definitely just
Hmm.
crazy. Like because it could have just thinking about how it could have went the other way, right?
Yep, it
And
could
then
have,
yeah,
but it didn't, and
it
thank
didn't.
God,
Yeah.
Lord Jesus.
And
Hmm.
so and then also I actually went for a bike ride today, which is really good. I bought a bike a couple weeks ago, but I said, you know what?
Oh,
I
that's
took it out for a
nice.
quick spin around the first week after I got it kind of manufactured. I got it put it together already, but like
Nice.
um I just took it for a test ride and it was nice. But I was like, I want to go, but I heard we don't have this in our headlines, but I heard active TO is like getting rid of. Well, they pretty much got rid of active TO, which is so annoying. Where they
Yeah, I
shut
know.
down some major roads and you could go bike riding or rollerblading with your family. I thought that was so cool. I was hoping that they would keep that.
Yeah, I was thinking they would, but I know that there's so many people who probably complained about it, so
Yeah, the
I didn't
driving.
expect it to last long. I'll be honest. When I
Oh, it
heard about
sucks.
it, I was like, okay, we'll see.
Yeah, it sucks. It
But
sucks. Yeah, that'd have been
yeah,
nice to go
but
downtown
hopefully
and
it
just
does come back
cruise.
again. Hopefully it comes back again.
Yeah, because I feel like just as much noise as there was about, I guess, the drivers or whatever, um, then there's just as much noise now of the people who enjoyed it and wanted to take advantage of it. So we'll see kind of where that nets out. But yeah, anyway, went for a cruise today, very nice, and I was hoping to do some more cruises downtown, but now I don't even know how that's gonna work. But whatever, could keep it local. But I feel like in the suburbs like Scarborough, we could do with a lot more bike paths
Yes,
and bike trails. I feel like all the good bike trails is when you go uptown and downtown, and like it kind of sucks like that we don't have that available on this side of town. So it's like, okay, if you're gonna get rid of active TO, at least create better bike lines in the suburbs.
exactly. I
um
agree.
but yeah, anyway, I'll go into the headlines. So it's good, we're okay, we're you
Getting
know
true. We're getting
yes,
true,
we're
man.
pulling through. Summer's here, and life is not bad. All right,
Mm-hmm.
so I'll start with the Toronto Police report that was released this week.
Mm-hmm.
So the Toronto Police were sanctioned. I don't think this was voluntarily. I don't know who. Um, I don't recall in this article that I'm reading in the National Post where they said the study what prompted the report on the use of excessive force based on somebody's ethnicity or race.
Mm-hmm.
But the findings were not a surprise to myself. And
None at
essentially,
all.
the Toronto police chief, the interim Toronto police chief, had to come out and make a statement and do a public apology because the report pretty much came out saying that members of the Black community are 2.2 times more likely to experience an enforcement interaction with officers. And they also said that Black folks are also 1.6 times more likely to experience force once involved in an enforcement action. And I mean, there's no surprise that it'd be more for Black people, but I do think if we were to compare to the States, like somewhere like New York or something, which is not even comparable, maybe you should even use Detroit because New York is just so big and massive, we can't compare Toronto. I
Yeah.
think the number would even be way more than 1.6 times. It would probably be like, I hate to say it, but like
At
three
least double
times.
that.
Yeah, at
Yeah.
least double it. And also part of the reason for that is they just have a larger Black population.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I was just like, it was all over the news, and I couldn't get away from it. But I'm like, we know this, so. But what are your thoughts?
Well, it's not surprising. I am glad that it is being discussed or it's out there so
Hmm.
that other people can see it, because we talked about this briefly and said there are some people that need statistics behind it in order to believe it.
Okay, yeah.
So someone's personal experience might not necessarily resonate with them
Hmm.
unless they have statistics behind it. So for some people, they'll be this is an eye opener.
Hmm.
For me, this is an everyday life thing. Like, you know,
Yeah, yeah,
it's unfortunate, but that is our reality here in Canada. I know that the States, it's vastly different, but we're not that different from each other. We still do have our own, racist cops, and we have our own problems. They just don't go publicized as big as, like, say, in the States. So it's sad, but this is a way for it to be shed light and hopefully do better.
yeah. And there was a couple of action or community groups that had feedback because I don't know if these were the groups that prompted it or it was like a third party that prompted the
Hmm.
report. One thing I do know from what I've heard and read is that this was not self-initiated by the Toronto police. Obviously, you don't want to release data that
No,
makes you look.
they don't want to rock the boat. They don't want to expose themselves for the fuckery. Sorry,
Exactly.
excuse
So
my French.
the Canadian Civil Liberties Association and the Black Legal Action Center noted many earlier reports and studies have highlighted systematic racism in policing, and one of the special advisors on the anti-black racism for the CC, the Canadian Liberties Association, was saying police have continued to paint community concern around these issues as anecdotal while actively suppressing the very data that was released today. And that goes to your point, Kim, where you're saying it's like, we talk about this, we know this as communities, but the data needed to be seen for real action to be taken. So we
Yeah.
will look to see where this takes us. And they also said there's more detailed findings to be found. I think there's going to probably be some more information, probably related to the Aboriginal community. I'm sure they're another group that has been systematically
Oh,
targeted by the
definitely,
police. So I wouldn't be
definitely.
surprised by that as well. But more data to come, and we'll share that as that goes through. Okay,
Yes.
so
Hmm.
something that a lot of my friends have been talking about lately since the slow return back to work in the office or these hybrid models is the TTC. Like, I mean, I stopped
Yeah.
taking the TTC a few years ago, so I just take the above ground. I take the expensive transit. I pay double, but it's worth
Right.
it because of what everybody's saying. And I think obviously we know mental health during the pandemic, mental health issues skyrocketed, and I feel like this is
Definitely.
like a fragment of this or a remnant of that where
Yeah.
we're seeing a lot of mentally ill people on the bus and there's so many incidences and just there is always incidents of the TTC. Like if you take TTC every day, you're gonna see some shit once a week, once or twice a week. You're gonna see some
Hmm.
random have
Yep.
an incident. It's just the
Trust and
nature.
believe.
Yes,
Plan
right.
for it. Hmm. Hmm.
And so basically there was an art yesterday a couple days ago. Actually it was yesterday. It was in the day, but it was later on. A woman was randomly lit on fire at
Like, can you imagine?
at
You're
the
just in the
Kipling
oh
at the
my god,
Kipling station. And I was like,
it's
random? Are
crazy,
we sure it's random? But I read an
right?
article. The article says that there was some of altercation between the two before that the fire, I guess the fire happened. But they said it's unknown what motivated the attack, but there was an interaction between the man and woman before it happened. So the woman is in her 20s and a 35-year-old man has been arrested. But I'm like, what has the world come to? We're lighting
Really
people
and
on fire?
truly. In the inside of I think was it a streetcar or was it a bus?
They say lit on fire on a Toronto bus. It was on a bus.
So you're on a
It was. I
bus.
thought it was a station. It was actually on a bus.
You're
This
on
is
a bus, bro. You're
crazy.
on a bus. So
Wow.
that means this is moving fire. And the
Jesus.
reason why I wanted to know the difference between the two is here in Canada, we have something called streetcars.
Mm,
And our streetcars, there's lots of ways to get out of the streetcar.
mm-hmm.
Like lots of ways, right? But with buses, it's like there's really two exits and
Two
that's
exits
it. That's
only.
all. That's it. That's all. So now we have fire involved in the equation. Could you imagine driving that bus at that time? Oh, my mother of
You just
pearl.
like,
What is
what the
going on?
hell?
What is going on? Like, I just went to work to drive the damn bus be, and
But it
now you're
everything
lighting
must have
people on
happened so
fire.
fast because they said the man poured a liquid, whatever the igniting poured a liquid substance on the woman and
And let
ignited
her
it.
on fire.
What are you walking around with that substance? Like he planned to light somebody on
Yes.
fire.
Yes. He's walking around with lighter fluid.
Hmm.
Like, this is okay. So initially, when I heard of this story, I was like, I need to know more. I
Mm-hmm.
need to know more particulars. And right now, I guess there's still, investigations going on and stuff like
Yes.
that. So they're not really, they're like tight lipped about it, right?
Yeah.
And so I
Yeah.
understand that. I'll get that. But me need to know more.
Yeah.
Because,
Usually when
first of
stuff
all,
happens on the TTC, they're
in
very.
the big COVID, why are you so close to me where you're putting lighter fluid on me?
Yeah, I want
I
to know
don't know.
what
I
the
don't know.
interaction was. Where yeah, the minute I see your hand drawing up to pour anything on, I think there's water. I'm like backing up. And honestly, I don't even engage when somebody is like trying to like being provocative or they're trying to get some type of response from me. Either I get up and move, which even that I try not to do because that could even get them going even more, or I just pretend I have my headphones and it's like I'm not even hearing or seeing you, and I just that's all you could do because unless a person is like you said push up on you, close to you, or touching you, it's best not to engage because that's what they want, right?
That's what they want. They do want someone
Unless
to
you're in
engage
danger,
with.
obviously get up and try and move. But
But
wow,
being in this bus, like, oh my goodness,
yeah,
could
you're
you
trapped in the bus. That's the
imagine
difficult
the
part.
being on the bus? Not the person who was lit on fire. That's a whole different
Yeah.
traumatic
Oh, you mean if
experience.
there's a witness?
But being just a bystander, just I'm trying. You know what I mean? Because on the TTC, there's families that
Yeah,
ride the TTC. There's older people that ride the TTC. You know what
yeah.
I'm saying? There's a whole section on the TTC that's designated to older people. You know what I mean? So to just be a bystander and to be like, what am I seeing here? Did he just let her on fire? Like, I couldn't even imagine. But like you, I stopped taking the bus, the train many, many years ago. And a few years ago before the pandemic, I had an opportunity of working downtown. And let me tell you, that experience, it can only happen if I'm on the GO train. I'm sorry, I have to be bougie with this. I can't. Mentally, I know that I get uncomfortable with people in small spaces and being too close to me. So I feel very uncomfortable. So that can't work for me. But on the go and on the go train and stuff like that, yeah, it can get cramped. It can. But I
But
feel like
people are
there's a
more
different
civilized in
level.
general. Yes, in
There's
general,
different level of people that are
yes.
riding the go.
You're just
You know
trying to
what I mean?
go to work and go home, not do any
There's
extra.
a different type of people. Like, I mean, mental health is mental health,
Hmm.
right? It doesn't matter who it is or what level of class they are. But I just noticed that people who are willing to put more money out to get their transit, wherever they're going, you don't see you just won't come encounter with a lot of crazy people. You just won't. I don't know if that's, economic reasons. I don't know what it is, but if I have to, I take the go. I'm not about these buses. I'm not, I've lived up here in York region and I've never taken their bus. I've been up here for almost 20 years
Wow.
and I've never taken their bus. Now, am I bougie, people? No, I'm not bougie.
Mm-mm.
Okay, so don't come for me. I'm not bougie, but
There's
I
nothing
know
wrong with being
myself.
bougie.
Well, in this respect, I'm glad I'm bougie because I'm not being let on fire in no bus, NASA, because that, mental health or not, I have a right to defend myself at this point. So
Yeah, they're
let
letting
me
people
not,
on fire. So,
right?
but
Like,
the
let me
young
not.
lady is in the hospital recovering from second and third degree burns, which is a worst. Third degree burns is a worst kind of burn.
Yep.
But hoping that she heals up and she can
Prayers
deal with
up
that
to
trauma.
her,
That's very
man.
traumatizing. So
Yeah.
prayers up for that young lady.
Yep.
Moving
Yep.
on, just a quick thing. Jennifer Hudson is now an EGOT, meaning she has now won an Emmy, Grammy, Oscar, and now a Tony Award.
Wow.
Um, so the Tony Award was for a play that she was actually not in this one. She actually is a producer, but an a Tony isn't a Tony, so she got it, and she's the youngest ever EGOT winner. I believe she's 40 years old now this year, so which I actually thought she was older, but
Simon
yeah.
Cowell, eat her
Well,
dust.
yeah,
That was
From when she did Dreamgirls, she already
Yeah, but now look at her. Like to achieve that, he does not know talent when he saw it.
mm,
This
mm.
is this is not an
But to be
easy
honest,
task.
the season that she was on was tough. And sometimes, like if you think about it, I think the winner of her one was Fantasia. And even if you think of all the winners of what's the name of that show? What is the name of it now? American Idol.
Yes, American
If you
Idol.
think about
Hmm.
all the winners of that, like all of them kind of, yes, he did, like Kelly Clarkson, I would say, just by terms of top 40, is the one who probably, she was the first one, and I think she was the most successful, but even her, like, she's hosting a daytime television show now. So,
Right.
so I feel like her
But
winning
that's what I'm
actually,
saying. Like
mhm.
he missed the boat 100%.
But
But
it's
you know
good for
what?
her that she missed that boat.
Well, it is
Mhm.
because it could have taken her on a different trajectory.
Exactly.
But what I will say is a different nuance to this is it's like even I bring up Simon because he told her, no, you can't. You're not good enough.
Yeah.
And I always say, like, the best revenge is success.
I don't think he
And
never, did he say that?
I believe at one point he said that no, she wouldn't amount to much in her career.
Ooh.
I believe that. I remember that time when she got let go and he
Yeah.
was kind of nasty to her. I
Okay.
well, I mean, he's a nasty person in
Well,
general,
I
but
don't I just don't remember. I
I
don't really
remember him
remember.
being very like, oh well, you know, it's he his attitude is kind of like you're good to a level, like you're
Mhm,
good to a point,
mhm.
but he didn't believe in her, and even which way, either which way. The point I was making was that when somebody tells you you can't, use that as fuel to do what they think you can never do and get her done. And she got her done. She's 40 years old and she's an EGOT. Wow. There's
And
a
the
lot of
play.
people who have never ever and will
Oh
never
no, they
ever
will never
get to
ever.
this point.
They could never ever. So the play that she won the Tony for as a producer is called Strange Loop, and it's funny because the producer of it, his name is Michael R. Jackson. He had to have that R, otherwise his name is just Michael Jackson. So
Right? Got to put
that's the
that in
name.
there.
So kudos to her, always rooting for Miss Jennifer Hudson. Next is cancel culture has come for Lizzo. And the reason they're coming for,
when do they not? Like that's the question. When do they not?
when are they
Because
not
I
coming for
feel
somebody? That's the whole nature. That's the whole nature of cancel culture, right?
like
But I think it was weird because I'm like, how come I keep on seeing Lizzo and cancel? Like, her name was bubbling up, and I didn't know why. Because I mean, I know she. I was like, is it because she has an album coming out soon and she has some singles out? So I was just wondering. And plus, she just recently started a new um clothing line called Yitty. So I was wondering if that was it. But then eventually, I think I saw this statement from Cardi B where she's like, Cardi B was pretty much saying is, I wouldn't change shit. I wouldn't apologize for shit. But you never know when stuff comes to you. So anyway, when I looked it up, pretty much some people from the disabled community, I guess, was saying that coming after her lyrics in her new song called Girls with a three R's. And in that song, she says, "Do you see this shit? I'm a spaz." I'm a spaz. Spaz is the word in question. And so she released a statement saying on Twitter saying, "It's been brought to my attention that there is a harmful word in my song Girls. Let me make one thing clear. I never want to promote derogatory language. As a fat black woman in America, I've had many hurtful words used against me, so I understand the power words can have, whether intentionally or in my case, unintentionally. I am proud to say there's a new version of Girls with a lyric change. This is a result of me listening and taking action. As an influential artist, I decided to I'm dedicated to being part of the challenge change. What the fuck? I'm dedicated to being part of the challenge change I've been waiting to see in the world. So I get it. She's somewhat of an advocate for one community, so she's trying to be sensitive to another community that is hurt.
I do understand that, but
But
I'll be honest with you, Jeanette. Like, I
yeah,
feel like we've reached a point in our society where you can't say not a damn thing.
you can't say a
You
damn thing.
not a damn thing. You better hush up your damn mouth because you say spaz. Like I
Honestly, it sucks, and I really I'm with Cardi. I kind of wish she didn't. I rather her
no, because she set
apologize.
a new precedent. She set a
Yes,
new
don't. Yeah,
precedent now.
I'd rather her. I could rather her. Okay, fine, apologize. That's what you do when you hurt a community of your fans. Yes, you must apologize. But to go in and change the whole song, because I actually went to listen to the song earlier. I'm like, wait a minute, listen to the whole song. I didn't hear, and then I went back to this quote. I'm like, oh shoot, she already changed the lyrics, so I didn't hear the word. I don't know. I think it's just lip service. I don't know. I don't know. Like
You know
everybody,
what the
like
thing is though is that they still use the word nigger in every other song. So
right?
I find like miss me with the bullshit type thing.
Yeah, yeah. It's kind of
Here's
like
my thing. It's like when we can abolish the word nigger in every single song that's out there, and I know people are going to come from my head and say, well, black people say it too.
mhm,
Yes, but this word was not. We didn't make this word up for ourselves.
mhm.
We didn't start calling each other this. Okay, so let's just put that out there. Second, she set a bad precedent here because now other people are going to be more critical of other artists and expect them to do the same thing. Now, I can appreciate that she apologized to her fans
Yeah.
that are of that community.
Mhm.
That's great. That's actually really noble.
Mhm. Yes.
However, you going over and beyond to change the lyrics of a song is now telling them that if there's somebody else that says a lyric I don't like, then I'm gonna expect them to change the lyrics of their song. And there's a fine line now that could be crossed very easily with like where's the creativity? Where's the imagination? Where's
Yeah,
the
that's where
artistry?
I
Like
get
you're
it gets
taking that
kind of
away and you're dulling it out to what you prefer. And maybe some other people don't really care to hear that word, just like how they have nigger in every other song. So it's like, you know, I don't know. I'm sorry. I'm a little jaded in that area because it's like you want all of us black people to adhere to how you're feeling, but we don't get that in return. You know what I mean? So it's like kind of difficult. But kudos to you,
Yeah,
Lizzo. Kudos to you.
yeah,
But I'm not
it's
gonna let nobody run my artistry. I'm sorry. I
yeah,
said what
no,
I said.
I agree.
Sorry
I
if you
think
felt offended. You know?
all right, so DJ Academics, the internet's one of the internet's biggest trolls, professional trolls. He makes money being a bloody troll, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah. And
He
he's gonna
got
start a beef one day. Jeez, man.
he's always yeah, this guy's always in something, and he relishes in it. I think he makes a lot of money from it. But anyway, I'm gonna play a quote that's been going around that was recently brought up, and his name got kind of dragged again for it. I'm just pulling it up here. Play it. Think about it in the bigger scheme of things. There's not much difference between a 20 or a 17 or a 21 and a 17. Just kind of mean one's a minor and one's not a minor. But I will say, listen, I adopted this rule, which I think it was fine. I said, listen, man, as long as the chick got a college ID, she's getting. I don't care if she's 17. I don't care if she's 17 and a half. I don't care if she just turned 17. She's going to get this dick. Okay, so that is what's been going
Okay,
around.
prevert. Whatever.
Pervert, right? So that was the clip that got released. He's actually in of course, he's in a beef with another podcast or crew or something, and he's thinking that those are the people that found that old clip and released it. The clip is 8 years old. So Academics right now is I think 30, 31, but if he was probably in his early 20s when he made that statement. He has since responded and said on Twitch, which is that streaming service, which he probably makes a lot of his money from. And he says, "What I was trying to say is that either you're 21 or 20, right? And someone's like 17. This is only the college dynamic because they put 4 years of kids together. They just like they do in high school. I said usually there's not much of a difference. Like when you're in college, you don't really see the difference, and I still believe that." Um, and then went on to say, as long as they go to your school, bro, you don't ask. It's not that you want anybody underage. You just assume. So that's what I'm saying. If it ends up being that, it's just yeah, that's not what you wanted to do, type of shit. But it's like I don't look at it as somebody deliberately looking for kids. So in his half weird way of saying, I get what he's trying to say, but it's interesting though because it kind of reneges because the point when he was making this statement, he was talking about he was actually discussing the age gap between Tyga and Kylie Jenner at the time, which I'm like,
Right.
that's even worse because that's even
Hmm.
worse. Like with you with this example, with the 17, if you're in college and like your colleges could be depending. There's a few months where you might be 17 before you turn 18, right? This based on where your birthday is.
Yeah. Okay.
So so I'm like, okay, I can give him that. I really could give him that. But what the fact that now you go back and the clip is actually finding out that the clip is actually about him talking about the age gap between Tyga and Kylie Jenner. That's disgusting because that was always gross. That was always like what
I thought it was gross from the get go.
because
And I
Tyga was
thought
like not called. He was like maybe 23, 24 when he was dating a 16-year-old Kylie Jenner, which was like
and he must have been grooming that situation. Like that didn't
yeah,
just
exactly.
pop off. You know what I mean? Like
Right?
he was around them. You know what I mean? He was seeing her, looking at her in whatever way. But here's what I think about Academics. First of all, I can't stand him. I
Nobody
can't
can.
stand him. I can't stand him because he talks a lot of crap.
Hmm.
Yes, he's knowledgeable and he's at times can be articulate with his points, but for me I think that he is just full of crap. Now the
Hmm.
fact that you were talking about Kylie Jenner, she was a child, point blank period. Now if you're talking about in a college atmosphere, right, where the difference between like a freshman and a sophomore is that year, then okay, I get what you're saying. Even someone who is 21 and someone who's 17, that 4 year difference while in the while in the concept of a school is a lot different. But this was a grown man that had a child
Mm-hmm.
talking to a young girl, a very young girl. Now, I we all know that Kylie was out here getting all sorts of plastic surgeries at 16.
Yeah.
She was too grown. She was too ready. So yes, we look at that a different. I have to look at it a different way, and he's trying to justify that type of behavior. And I'm sorry, I just can't. I can't rock with that. But then again, I can't rock with most of what he says half the time. But
Mm-hmm.
anywho, nonetheless, in the concept of if you're both going to college, yeah, okay, I see the difference. I see there is a difference. You're both within that realm. You're both within that, you're about to be 18.
Mm-hmm.
However, you got to be careful, man. Don't listen to people like academics because your ass could get locked up. Okay? So even for that 17, you could get locked up. So be careful. Don't listen to people like him because
Yeah, he's a clown. He's just a professional troll, and but
dumbass, if you
I think
ask me.
people he's having another beef to the many hundreds of beefs that he's already had. He's had beefs with Nicki Minaj. He's had beefs with Vic Mensa, Wale. So many people. Freddie Gibbs is another big one because Freddie Gibbs called him a Teletubby. Like that was classic.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, the guy just talks shit. Anyway,
Yeah.
moving on. That's headlines. So we're gonna jump into music news before we get into our first segment. So the Queen is coming.
Yes.
Beyonce
Thank
is
you.
coming. Speculation started earlier in the week when she took down all her social media posts, including her profile pictures. And everybody was like, wait a minute, something's happening, something's happening. We thought there was going to be a drop, a surprise drop. I mean, she started the surprise drop, but I feel like everybody does it now. So it's kind of like, it's not special. But so then later in the week, Columbia Records announced the album name called Renaissance Act
Yes, I can't
1,
wait to listen.
and it will be released July 29th. So we got a full another month and a half before we get to see it or hear it, I guess. It'll
Yep.
be her seventh studio album, and because it
Can
says
you
Act 1,
imagine? Wow.
yeah, it's her seventh. And because it says Act One, I think it's going to be clearly it's going to be some kind of multi-part musical experience.
Right.
Because one thing Beyonce is going to do is give us a musical, a visual experience
Experience.
that must be talked about.
Right? And I'm hearing that this album, Renaissance, is going to have a lot of country, Western type, or country music,
What we don't
I
know, it's
would
all
say.
speculation. It's all
Well, this is
speculation.
speculation. But you know what? I could see Beyonce. She's that versatile. Like you can kind of put Beyonce in different
Yeah,
genres, and
hmm
she'll do well. You
yeah.
know what I mean? So, because she knows her niche,
She's very
her
musical.
niche.
She knows.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. So I can't wait. July 29th, here it comes. Because I
Yes. So
can't wait to hear that. I've been waiting for something from Beyonce for a minute. So, I know
exactly.
she's
We've
over
been
there
waiting. She said
being
she
mommy and
she wrote
everything. So,
this during the pandemic when she couldn't tour, and knowing her, when she releases an album, that means a tour will come shortly after. So I think I'm
hmm
going to really try. I'm not a concert person, but I feel like if there's somebody worth seeing in live, it's most definitely Miss Beyonce.
yes.
So looking forward to that. Next,
hmm
Drizzy Drake,
Tracy
October's
Drakes.
very own OVO. He dropped his new album, Honestly Nevermind. I think it's also his seventh album. I had one listen today. Today's Saturday, and when I was writing, I was trying to listen, but I think I need to listen to it in my car. It seems to have
Right?
it's like my first impression is that it's pretty. It's very like it's pretty much house, kind of like it has a lot of house flavor, which he's
Yeah.
dabbled in. If you remember, the
Yep.
album that he did, Passion Fruit Emblem. I can't remember
Yep.
the name of that album right now on the top of my head, but it's pretty much that flavor for most of it. Except then there's a last track with 21 Savage, which is something more that I would expect from Drake, where they have a beat and then they switch it up in the middle, which I actually love when he does that. So the
Yeah, me
21
too.
Savage track is called Jimmy Cooks. So that one stands
Okay.
out, and then Falling Back is the next one, and then another one is called Sticky. but it's very house flavor, and I think it's something that I'd like. Like if you're having a drive, you have to have a long drive somewhere. It'd be nice to just cruise with. But I didn't hear any one. You know, Drake is notorious for the one-liners. Again, I only had one listen, so maybe I'm gonna listen to it again this week, and if it really grows on me, I'll bring it up. If it doesn't grow on me, I won't bring it up
Right.
again.
I have to take a listen to his album too.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I think
But there is one thing. He has a. I think I didn't see the video, but he has a video. I don't even know for what song it is, but I saw the pictures on his Instagram where it's pretty much. It looks like the concept of the video is that he's getting married to 23 women. So it's
yeah,
him. Yeah,
yeah, I saw it.
he
And
saw that. So
Tristan,
I didn't watch the
yeah,
video, but
third trimester Tristan was all up in that thing
yeah.
too.
Oh god.
Um,
Yeah, that was well.
yeah.
You know, Drake is a troll, so you know he always has jokes. So there you go. That was a
Yes,
joke.
and there was a lot of jokes in that. I saw the video and I was like, okay, I get the concept. I get it. Okay, it's cute and all, but given the wrong idea out here in these streets. Okay, Drake, you can't be marrying 23 women, so it would be great, but it can works. So yeah,
All
but
right.
anywho,
We'll go into our first
moving on.
segment, which is Wagwan for real.
One for real.
And in this segment, we look at stories that just don't add up and don't make much sense. We see or hear them, and we have to ask the hard question: what a guan for real? And this week,
Right, for real.
and this week, we're talking about the fact that there's a story that was released. Again, Miss Monique, and the headline or the story is more about the fact that Netflix settles with Monique over her discrimination lawsuit. So, Monique, they have reportedly settled their lawsuit that accused the streaming service of racial and sexual discrimination for allegedly making her a lowball offer for a proposed comedy special. Most of us who've been following Monique's career know about this. It started a whole internet frenzy and debate. You couldn't get away from the story. She actually, it's funny because I thought it was sooner, but maybe the story came out sooner and she filed later. But she filed the lawsuit against them in 2019. But I'm pretty sure the actual lowball offer and the kerfuffle was like a year or two before that. But maybe that's just when she filed the
Yeah,
actual suit. Yeah, so it
yes,
was
that is correct.
2017 actually that the actual offer came, and she was asking, she's asking the culture to boycott Netflix, and everybody was like, "But why?" And
So weird.
so,
Super right time PST, yeah. There's people, black people who are working for Netflix. So you want us to cancel all the black people that could be working for Netflix for you? You're too
mhm.
feisty. Go sit down. You're too rude. I thought it was rude back then, and I still think it's rude now.
And especially
Don't
now
ask
where I
me.
see now that I see this is like an antics from her, like a tactic from her,
Yeah.
to get like again gaslighting women or black people onto her side, even though where we don't necessarily know the details about it. But the details of the actual settlement were not disclosed, of course not. But my point of view, my speculation on this, of course not. My speculation is two things. We heard from our one of our episodes we talked about that her Lee Daniels apologized to her, and she's now casted in a new movie that he's doing with Netflix. So she's gonna be a part of the Netflix family through this movie deal, right? Second, I think she's gonna get that offer. I also think potentially that she got an offer for a special. So, but I feel like that's
Yeah.
more speculation. I think potentially that could have happened because with the details being hidden, that's why I feel like Lee Daniels would have brought her in for this movie for Netflix, right? So who knows? Maybe this is a
Mm-hmm.
part of, but she already would have agreed, and that deal signed. So what I feel is that whether she pitched to Netflix or however it came about, there is probably a
Right.
special in the works, and
Probably.
a part of that agreement, whatever they offered her, was for her to drop this case. That's what I think
Yeah,
happened.
and back down and relax yourself. Um, but my perspective on this whole thing is, are you for real? Like, Monique, you went. on a tirade for almost a decade, okay, to turn around and to actually do business with them. So I understand initially it started over money,
Mm-hmm.
but you turned it into a whole political thing,
Mm.
like a real huge thing amongst the black culture. And for what? To turn around and say, okay, I'll take a deal with you. So if it was all about the money from the get go, why did you try to turn it into something other than that?
Well, a lot of
Like,
people called her bullshit.
I think this is so bullshit. And furthermore, they're willing to do business with you after you're out in these streets. Nobody likes you right now.
Mm.
Like, nobody likes you right now. I'm surprised that they want to do anything with you. I really am. Because you've left such a salty taste in people's mouth. People are still trying to get, a little freshness from something. Because this right here, like, it's ridiculous. Like, I can't believe she accepted the deal. I'm like, so you were willing to sell your soul to the devil. He just had to pay you more. Is that because you tried to perceive Netflix as next to the white devil coming out and against the black people and the yeah, but you turned around and they raised the price for your soul and you handed it over. It's like, are you for real? Like, you put your career in jeopardy to turn around and still do business with them? This woman went a whole hobo tour for 10 blasted years.
Mm-hmm.
And you turn around and actually do business with them? Like, you're a joker. Get out of here. Not only are you classless, but you're a joker. I'm gonna
And she's
add
been a
that to your
joker.
your resume.
Well, technically,
Okay.
as a comedian,
No, okay. I'll rephrase that. You was a clown. You was a clown. Okay. That's what you
yeah,
are, a clown. You're
yeah,
not you yeah, comedian, haha, choke jokes. But
yes,
even within comedy, especially like over the years, there was always an element of political notation to their comedy. Like if
yes,
you
yeah.
think of Richard Pryor, like Richard Pryor
Mm-hmm.
at the time when he was making leaps and bounds, you could still see that there was some sort of political aspect to his comedy.
Mm-hmm.
Now here you are, and now you're willing to sell your soul to the highest bidder. Like, get out of here! You're a clown. I can't even look at you. Like, I don't like clowns. They scare me.
Oh
Okay, I
man.
don't like clowns. But yeah, you use a. That's all like. So my question, why for me, why
Mm-hmm.
she's in this segment right, yes, sir, is what one for real, Monique, for real. You went through all of this to turn
Yeah,
around
that's
and
why I'm
do
like
business with
I mean
them?
I'm just speculating. I'm just speculating, but I feel like
I agree
for
with
her
your
to do this,
speculations.
the only way is I think it's not even the Lee Daniels thing. I think it's more that she must be getting a special. That's the only way I could see her like
But then
dropping the
why?
case.
But you see, the part that gets throws me off though is that why would you go and create drama with DL Hughley?
Well,
Like,
that's a different case.
I understand that, but it's still her name. Like, she's always said throughout, her hobo tour is
Mhm.
that protect black women and equal rights and equal pay and all of this jazz. And so you took your comedy and it went in a very political direction. And now all of a sudden you're willing to sell your soul so easy. So Wagwan, for real, I believe in your speculations 100%. She has something in the works. But what
Mhm.
throws me off is if you have something in the works, bruh, hush up your mouth. Okay, now it's time to hush up your mouth. You finally got what you were trying to get all this time. Shush. Why are you
I
causing
wonder,
a
and I
rift?
also wonder, with in terms of the Wagwan for real, I also wonder maybe she's kicking up a storm on purpose. You want to drum up some attention,
But
you
this is
know.
not the right attention,
I
though.
know, but as
You
somebody in
went
the
too
entertainment
far.
world,
Yeah,
any attention is attention,
but
as
when
we
you've
could
been
talk.
trying to look for this attention for 10 years, bro, you look desperate, me. Like, I don't even want to see what you're in. Like, I don't want to go because of now what you did over Yessa. You know what I
Mm,
mean? Like you touched a whole community of people in a very wrong way.
mm.
So kudos to you. I hope that movie's good, but I'll tell you right now, Monique, I ain't going to see nada. Okay, I don't want to see nothing. I'm sorry. I'm salty with you, and I'm not supporting none of your nonsense. Especially now you turn around and take the Netflix deal. Really? Come out the area. I just can't. I just can't.
But anyway,
Sorry.
so yeah, that's it. That's what we wanted to
Yes,
talk
but
about there.
right. And so now we will move into the call out. So forget Monique and her stupidness. I can't. What? Listen. In the call out, this is where we actually take turns asking each other different questions, whatever comes to mind. I'm going to go first. And so I have to set up my question. So I don't know. I've been looking at these videos on YouTube of people who have found like treasures in their home.
Hmm.
So this one specific example started to make me think of this question. So this guy and his young wife, they buy a house, they want to renovate it, and when they start renovating it, they had to tear, and it's an older house, like an older house, and so at least a 50-year-old, 60-year-old house. So they get started now, and they start taking out walls, and behind a wall was like this canister. And in the canister had about $56,000 in the canister, in
Wow.
the wall.
Hmm.
So, right. Now, in this particular situation, they went back to the previous owners that they bought the house from,
Hmm.
and they told them about the money,
Hmm.
and they gave it to them.
Okay.
So my question to you is, in that situation, would you have given back the money?
Hell no.
I ain't giving back not a
Hell no, fucking no.
damn shit. Thank you.
And I say, well, okay. Here's where okay. You tell me. I don't know if they explained themselves or whatever, but here's where I think like the only worry I'd have is like, okay, what if it's some drug money or some mob money, and the people are always planning to come and get it or whatever, depending how long I was living there. But like, say if I've been living there for 5 years and then I decided to renovate and I found the money, definitely I'm keeping the money. If I've been living there for less than a year and I stumble upon it, maybe I'd think about it only because I don't want anybody coming here looking for the money and not finding it, and I'm in danger. But that's only
Right.
maybe. I'm still there's a high likelihood that I'll still keep the money, like because the thing is you don't know. It's like you gave it back to those people, but those people could have just been like you, where you lived in the
Thank
house.
you. What if they didn't know it was in the
They didn't even know it
house?
was there, but they're not going to say no to the money
What?
because if
So,
it was their
okay.
money, they would have taken it when they left.
Eh, Jeanette, so in the
So.
video, okay, in the video, you see that, okay, so they were renovating, I guess, like it looked like their living room, what would be
Mhm.
their living room.
Mhm.
And so they started taking out drywall. So the canister was behind the drywall.
Yeah, makes sense. It was
So
hidden there.
somebody purposely put it
Yes.
there, right?
Yes.
So now, initially I thought, if I just bought this house, this is a new couple, young couple, they're trying to renovate the
So was
house.
it
Okay.
fairly? So did they do find it fairly recent to when they moved in?
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
Okay.
So they hadn't actually fully moved in yet. They were just
Okay.
there renovating the house, and then they were going to move their stuff in.
Okay.
So, okay, so that's the brief backstory. I don't know a lot of the backstory, but it was a brief backstory. So I was like, okay, so they find this canister that's behind the drywall. Now,
Hmm.
the people who I bought the house from, if they left that canister there, you're telling me they're gonna leave it there?
No, they didn't. See, they just gave away their free treasure. That family that was in the house before had no idea.
They had no
Like I said,
idea.
if that was their money, they wouldn't have left it. So what it was maybe from somebody
If
else.
you made it a point to put it behind drywall, that's a deliberate move. Like
Yes.
X marks the spot. Like
Well,
I
that's kind of why I
deliberately
would be scared. Like, I kind of get it too. Like, it's 50. You said what it was like, like a $50,000.
56,000 or something like that.
Okay, so something like that's shady though, because the fact that it's hidden behind the wall and all these things. So that again, I would be scared, but I would maybe hold on to it for a while. Like
But
I would,
when I'm looking, sorry to interject, I
yeah.
wanted to add this small detail that I thought was interesting. So, okay, the canister itself was old,
Mm-hmm.
like old,
Mm-hmm.
like you can tell it's like a metal that it was starting to rust and all of
Yeah.
that. So this is a canister that was around for a while. So did the people who before even know that it was there? And did they even put it there? It could. This is a really old house. I don't
Yeah, I
remember
don't
how
think
old
it
they
was.
said it
I
was.
don't think it was the owners that got the money. I honestly think you're right. Like,
I
it was,
don't think so either. So to answer my own question is I'm not giving back not a damn thing. Let me tell you something. Once I own the house, everything that's in it, behind it, above it,
that's true.
around it is mine.
Hmm.
Period. Point blank. So yes, I thought like you did, like you never know whose money that is. They might come back to get it. But I know you didn't get a chance to see the video. But when I saw it, the canister itself, how old it was. I was like, no, the people before you probably didn't even know it was there.
Hmm.
And if that's the case, maybe the people that was before them didn't even know it was
Yeah.
there. You know, because it looked like it was the original structure. You know what I mean, of the house. But long story short, I'm not giving back a damn thing. That's coming. Anything that's around, in, beside, above is mine. So hey, I would have been like, yes, honey, we found $56,000. Yes, let's put that jacuzzi. You know, but yeah, that was my question. Because when I was like, why would you do that though?
Yeah, that's kind of stupid, but I kind of also get it too. If you're superstitious, you're just like, I don't know where this money comes from. I don't want it. Like, I
But
also
and
get that.
also another thought would be whoever put that money back there, maybe if you give it to them, they'll give you a reward. Because if
There's
they
that.
could put that type of money behind a wall,
I think it's also like the superstitious part of me would also be like, do I want to be? I don't know what this money is associated with. Do I want to connect myself to something I don't know? So, but that's just if you're like super superstitious. But generally, I would hold on to it for a while, make sure the coast is clear, and just I don't know. It's definitely not giving it to the owners who just moved out of the house because that's not their money.
thank you, point blank.
Point blank.
Yeah.
Okay, so my call out question is this: what is the kindest thing someone has ever done for you?
Oh boy.
And I'll start first as you go through memory lane.
Yes. Yes.
So when I was in high school, I worked at um I don't mind saying I worked at Pizza Nova in the call center. That was my high
Mm-hmm.
school job. That was my first real job.
Yep.
And the cult, it was an interesting culture. It was like so much Scarborough people. It was like uh somewhere around town center. That's where the office was, and like there was a lot of local kids in our high schools that were working there. So it was almost
Yeah.
like it was very high schoolish, very high school, lots of high school drama. But the people who are like our supervisors were like, older middle aged people or women, right? And
Yeah.
so when I was 18, the year that I turned 18, my sister died. I was very
Mm-hmm.
close with, and so I was away from work for a while. And then when I came back,
Yeah.
one of the supervisors, and I have to caveat this, like this lady was cringing and miserable and feisty, and I was always like, oh my
Oh
gosh, what is she
gosh.
gonna say, right? Like she
Right?
was funny. She was funny, but she was funny in that mean, sarcastic way. So you
Yeah.
never like, even though she would bust out a joke and I'd laugh, I'd still kept my distance because you never know, right? And I could tell sometimes that she's annoyed, like you're working with a bunch of high school students who make up all these excuses not to come to work and want to leave
Right.
early and all this, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then she must have went on vacation. I think it was to Mexico. She came back and she gave me this nice bracelet. It's a gold bracelet. Maybe it's probably gold plated in all honesty. And it
Oh.
had like these doves. These like it's like had a print of like doves all around it.
Oh, that's so
And
sweet.
so she bought that for me, and I think honestly, I think she felt really bad about my situation and everything for
Yeah.
whatever that was her sympathy. And I was like, and it
Yeah.
was not only was it kind for her to think of me on her vacation that she goes to enjoy with her friends and family or whatever,
Yeah.
and but like at the end of the day, yes, you want to show sympathy for your coworker, but maybe it's usually just a card or something, right? But for her to
Yeah.
think of me
Yeah.
on her vacation and buy, like, to this day I still have it. It's not in the best condition, but I still have it because that was very kind of her, and that showed me that even though sometimes people have a hard exterior, that showed me that she was a, as
Yes.
much as she had a hard shell, she had a very kind
Yes.
heart for her to do that. And so that was one
Yes.
of the most kindest things somebody did to me that I still remember to this day.
Oh, that is sweet. That is very
Hmm.
sweet. To answer the question, I've had a lot of nice things happen to me over my life, and I
Hmm.
think it's because my mom, she's always praying for me and she's always doing
Yes.
well, the good things, sowing good seeds
Yeah.
for her family and for her children. But I would say something that just comes to pops in my mind is my fiance. The
Hmm.
first year that we were together, I have a child. He has a child. He was a single father. I was a single mom. And I say that because money is tight.
Yeah, as a single parent.
It's,
Yes,
when
as a
you're a
single
single
parent.
parent,
Yeah.
it's tight. But he made it a point the first Valentine's Day to get me something and to get my daughter something.
Mm.
And I was just blown away because at the time when I met him, I was still very guarded from my past relationship with
Yeah.
my daughter's father. And, I was still very raw around the edges. And
Hmm.
to be quite honest, I've never really been a big Valentine's Day person. I'm just going to put it out there. You should love someone 365. You know what
Mm.
I'm saying? Show the love 365. But it was the first time ever that I had a man that not just thought about me, but thought about my child, and made it a point, even though it was something that was so small and insignificant. My daughter still sleeps with that stuffed animal to this day.
Yeah, that's very
To this
thoughtful.
day.
Very
It
thoughtful.
was so thoughtful. It was so powerful of an action because, like I said, I was still raw and rough around the edges from the previous fool.
Mm.
And he just showed me what a man was supposed to do, and I thought it was really sweet because it lit up her face and it made her happy, and regardless of what he gave me, that was the real present,
Hmm.
was seeing her be so happy about it. So, there's lots of reasons why I'm marrying this dude,
Yeah.
but that's one thing I was always like, wow,
Yeah.
you didn't have to,
Shout out
you
to
know?
the men such as your fiance and all the other men who have that consideration. It's when you're in a situation dealing with a woman, it's not just her that you're dealing with; it's also her
Exactly.
extended family. And good on him for having that
Yeah.
thought.
Yeah.
Think of it, that thoughtful gift.
Yes, and it was awesome. It was awesome, and yeah, those men out there who are actually men, not little boys trying to be men.
Trying to leech
Uh,
off of people and suck the soul
right?
of them and not give anything in return.
Nah, and honestly, because I've even said on this show before, I've gone on dates where man's them is it's a $20, social bill, and you can't see, you want to half it. What's it?
Oh,
What?
Lord.
Like you know what I'm saying? And it
Damn.
wasn't even the price of the item; it was the fact that he thought ahead of the game,
Yeah.
and he could understand where I was coming from. But anywho, yes. So the call out, that was a great call out, but we're gonna keep it moving into the workout.
Workout.
Yes, this is where we work out our hearts and exercise our mental fitness and do deep dive discussions on things that are impacting our culture, or things that we need to start discuss or talk about. And what we need to talk about today is something that happened over this past week or so. Now, Saucy Santana had an old tweet about Blue Ivy.
Mm.
Beautiful little girl. I know we're
Yes.
going to talk about Beyonce again for this episode, but This is why she's called Queen Bee. But
Yeah.
anywho, uh, he made this nasty tweet talking and referencing about Blue Ivy's hair and not having it combed, and his he even went as far as to compare Blue Ivy with Northwest, which is Kanye and Kim
Hmm.
Kardashian's daughter, and basically said that the mixed child was better looking or better maintained or had better hair
Hmm.
than Blue Ivy. And so just recently, these old tweets resurfaced, and Saucy Santana had the nerve to double down on this nonsense.
Hmm.
And I understand, you feel defensive, but you're not realizing this is a child we're talking about here, Saucy Santana. This is a child. So the streets are saying that he was supposed to have some sort of a collaboration with Beyonce. And then this came out. All this, it resurfaced. And Queen Bee, the reason why I feel she deserves that name is because she does not deal with this type of nonsense. But don't think she doesn't know about it.
Oh,
She
she
knows
knows.
all about it all. She's just not gonna respond. So, a side note to that, hold on to that thought. So today I was watching YouTube again, and I was watching YouTube's shorts, and there was a woman. I forget her name, but she works with finances. She was on Oprah. She's well known. I just forgot her name. It slipped me, but that's not important. It was a comment that she made, and she said, "There's a saying that I have, and that is, a lion, sorry, an elephant does not hear when a dog barks."
Right?
And I was like, bomb! You're
Hmm.
too spicy for me. I can't deal with it. But it's
Hmm.
true. So Beyonce is the elephant,
Hmm.
and Saucy Santana is barking.
That's it. It's
I
just
cried.
barking.
He's barking. You think she's gonna turn around and deal with him? No. And this just might be a way where he is lost out on the elevation in his career of a lifetime
Yeah.
because he made some nasty ass tweets. So I want to go, on a deep dive about this, and I do want to take it from different angles. And the first thing I do want to say is this: all children are off limits, point blank, period. I don't care who you are, I don't care what culture you're from. Children are off limits. You do not have the right to talk about this baby in this way. The when he made these tweets at the time, Blue Ivy was maybe 3. She's a baby.
Yeah.
Why? Why feel you can attack this child because of her hair?
The sad part is he wasn't the only one.
He's not. There was petitions that were made to have Blue Ivy's hair combed. There's lots of people that looked at it like, how is it Beyonce is in $1,000 weave and her daughter's hair is not combed?
Hmm.
Now, here's the thing: she was a new mom, okay, and she's figuring out herself and being a mother.
And
One,
also, if you think about a bunch of 3-year-olds, like she just look like everybody else, every toddler, just
thank
because it's
you.
Beyonce. But like at the end of the day, no matter how nice you get your child's hair is done, they don't. They're when they finish ramping and playing around, they're gonna. It's
They're
just gonna
on
be
a
chaos.
different
It's
tip,
never gonna
man. They're
be
on a different
hundred
tip.
percent neat. So I think it was weird that that was like a thing. And if anything, they were giving her like a regular. To me, I'm happy that they let her naturally grow up and grow into herself. Like she's 10, and that recent photo that they had of her with
She
Jay
looks
Z at the
so
basketball
pretty.
game,
Oh
she's
my.
gonna she's already moving into that. Like she was never gonna be normal being her parents consider
Exactly.
who her parents are. So I'm glad that she was able to be as normal as long as possible to a certain extent. But the divas coming out think she's gonna be bigger than Beyonce. Like like the thing we're already seeing the makings of a new a new talent, if you ask me.
Yes, and
So
like let's not trip on things here. Blue Ivy is making a lot of money and she's 10. She could have done had tenfold what Saucy Santana has,
mhm,
and she's only 10.
yeah,
She like her parents have set her up. They've
yeah,
set
she's
her
good.
up for the future. So you might be doing business with that same little girl one day, okay, that you're making fun of. So mind what you say. That's another aspect I wanted to go on is that this man doubled down
He doubled down, boy.
like a damn fool. For real?
Yeah,
For
he
real.
yeah, did you have like yeah, I was going to read like what he was saying in response. So
Yes,
basically
go ahead.
people
I
were
was like
calling
trying to
for
pull it
him
up.
to apologize, and he came back on Twitter because he was going to before he was going to perform in Houston, and obviously Houston is Beyonce's hometown. And he went on Twitter and he said, "Fake woke ass bitches. People don't care about old tweets. The internet has this weird thing with power, thinking they have the power to cancel someone. Newsflash, you don't. Y'all be thinking you have someone by the balls about situations you don't give a damn about. Celebrities are humans, not robots, and they damn sure ain't perfect. I still talk about a bitch like a dog to this day. Not publicly because my opinion matters to a lot of people now. I be chilling. I don't even insert myself in shit that doesn't involve me. Stop all the cap trying to ruin people's careers cuz you at home miserable and broke. I was miserable and broke too, making childish, hateful tweets in 2014. I'm 28 years old now, a grown ass adult. I have a completely different mindset on life from when I was 20, but y'all knew that." So interpretation. I'll interpret all of that rant, and essentially what I
The
got from
rant of
it.
nonsense. Yeah.
Essentially, what I got from it is that he's saying, first of all, well, he didn't start with it, but he was 20 years old when he said that. He was miserable and broke. Okay, yeah, okay, I'll give you fine. That's still not much that strong excuse. A 20-year-old talking about a 3-year-old, still kind of weird. And as well as like the cancel culture. We were talking about cancel culture earlier with Lizzo, so it's like that's the thing. That's a whole situation with this whole cancel thing, especially when we go back to the tweets. It's like I always try to think about myself in
Yep.
the way like I'm like a stubborn person, right? But then I also like I think about these people in the bag. Like you can't mess up the bag, right? So then that's where Lizzo.
Like,
You see
come
somebody like
on,
Lizzo,
dummy. Like, I don't
but
get it.
like he said, but like
I don't get
Santana said, people will always have something to say. You can apologize. I think for me, the situation with this because we're dealing with a kid. That's the topic here. The kids, you leave the kids alone, and I think it's because it was a kid. It didn't. It wouldn't hurt to be like, yeah, that was messed up that I said that. Of course, like that was trash. I was trash for that, and I obviously didn't want to hurt. Whatever. It was weird talk about like you could address that in his own language, the way he speaks, he could have dressed that up. You know what I mean? But he came back so aggressive and like just like he came back a little too aggressive. It's one thing to say like I'm human and I was young and I was miserable, but you could have still said, yeah, that was messed up that I said that. That wouldn't have taken nothing off of your statement.
Not at all. And I think why I think it was stupid to double down is
Mm.
because if you honestly want to do music with Beyonce,
He
now we've
can't.
seen when Beyonce jumps on a track, you better be prepared to propel forward because that's where your career will go. So the fact that you could possibly have an opportunity and still double down like a
No,
fool,
he doesn't want to work
you're
with
not about
Beyonce.
that bag.
No, he's not.
You're not about that bag, bro. You're not about the bag. Okay? Because if you were, you know what? You could have just simply said, that was then, this is now,
Yeah,
Blue Ivy, you're beautiful.
that's it.
Done.
Done.
Point blank, period. Okay, you didn't have to if you feel so righteous where you don't have to apologize to nobody about nothing, and that your comments are cool and whatever. Then that's a way that you could have done that. That was then, this is now, but Blue Ivy, you're beautiful.
Yeah.
You know, since this baby was born, people have gone in on this child, And I think that she is such a combination of the two of them,
Yeah, but
and that she is so beautiful.
she
She's
is
a
very beautiful.
beautiful little girl. And
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 you know
I
what?
I'm
What if
sad to
she wasn't?
hear
What if
that
she,
a black man is attacking her. It look how young this child is, and this man, whether he's transsexual or whatever, is attacking this child. She's a child. Come of that for you? Nothing. So why do it? It's dumb. It's really dumb. But then again, you know what? Hey, double downing on it
yeah,
was even dumber if you ask
he's
me.
done. Like he's not gonna get. He's never gonna get that feature. That is done. But another thing that's weird about the whole, this is old. Like we said, we know Beyonce, Blue Ivy is about 95% Beyonce in the face, and I think a
Yes.
lot of
Yes.
people, and I think one of the reasons why people used to disgustingly just have so much commentary on how she looks outside of how her parents did her hair was the fact that she looked like the cheeks. She had those Beyonce cheek. Sorry, those Jay Z cheeks, and everybody. And I
Yep.
think people aren't saying it, but a lot of people thought that Jay Z wasn't that attractive. I mean, I had a friend who loved Jay Z. She thought he was hot, and I did not get it. He to me, he's not ugly, but he's also not. He's not
He's
like,
not ugly, but you know what? He has swag for days.
yeah,
That man has
exactly,
swag.
exactly.
He's cool. He's calm. I could just see that if he walked into a room, he would command people's attention.
Exactly, and that's I think the appeal that he has to women. But a lot of people would be like, "Oh, like Beyonce's with Jay Z, like what the heck?" and da da da. But that's to me a sign of just like old school white supremacy, where it's like
Yep.
that self hate that some black people have against their own features, and they pretty much projected that into that little girl because she was
Yeah.
looking like,
Yeah.
she looked a little bit more half and half. She looked a little, you saw a little bit
Yes.
more. But now that she's 10, a lot, all she may have is the cheeks, but she's about 95% Beyonce right now in the face.
Yeah, she's growing very nicely into, she looks a lot like her mother right now.
Yes,
Like a lot. Like
yes,
when I saw her in that photo when they were at that basketball game and her hair was curly, reminded me so much of
she
Beyonce
looks
when
like
she was
young,
still like in
exactly like young
Destiny's Child.
Beyonce. Yeah.
Yeah, like Destiny's Child time. But what I wanted to say, and particular nuance I wanted to address, is when you're saying like that white man thought, and you compared her to a biracial child.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That was weird. Yeah, that was one of the tweets he had there. Was
I was like, am I in a twilight zone
yeah,
here?
the tweet
This is
where
a
he's
child that's black. She's a black child, and you're comparing her to a biracial child. Why? Is the biracial child's features supposedly better?
right.
Well, I this is what he's trying. This is what you're saying to the world when you make comments like this. You're putting Northwest on a pedestal that you seem to think Blue Ivy can attain.
It was so
And
weird. Honestly, though, I'm glad those days are. It was weird the way they talked about Blue Ivy and that comparison with Northwest. It was just. That's when I knew Twitter was evil. I'm like, Twitter, man. Twitter is a mess.
they're putting these two little babies against each other. They barely even know who each other is. Like, you know, but what I didn't like was that he very much made a reference to almost Northwest being more beautiful.
No, he
And
definitely
he
did.
had the
Yeah.
nerve to take in his little stupid tweet how many years ago, he said that Blue Ivy needs to have several seats.
Yes.
Because so in other words, in that whole commentary, the context that I took away from it, that I'm sure a lot of other people took away from it, was that Blue Ivy is better. Sorry, that Northwest is better and Blue Ivy isn't. And that she, based off of her looks, should have several seats. So she is nowhere near or will ever be near or can ever be in the same room as a Northwest. And I'm thinking, this black man, like, really?
Hmm. Yeah.
So you're perpetuating this then?
Yep.
And it's disgusting.
Very sick.
And as Black people, we got to do better than this crap.
Mm.
What he said showed his ass. It showed his ignorance. It showed his lack of business sense. You're trying to come up as an artist. Right now, hush your mouth. Hush your mouth. When you look at certain people who have come up in the ranks, like let's take Cardi B for instance.
Mm-hmm.
When she just popped off, she wasn't interested in making no diss tracks or saying things that were too left. You understand?
Mm-hmm.
She's always stayed true to who she was,
Mm-hmm.
but she wasn't ever focused on saying something like that that's so disparaging to her own kind. And yes, people will say, well, she's Hispanic or she,
Yeah.
has, she's, is it Colombian? No. Puerto Rican?
Dominican.
Dominican. Well, if you look back in history, Dominican people have a lot of African roots.
Oh, yeah.
So we're not even going to go there. But she doesn't want to disparage her own kind. So she rode the wave, and just kept doing more and getting better and being more involved in things and letting opportunities flow her way. But it's sad that this man thought that he could just disgrace a baby. And you want me to buy your music? Do you know how many beehive you want to buy your music? You do. These are the people who you want to buy your music. These are the people you want to ride with you. The beehive will come for you, and they did.
Oh, I'm sure they did.
And they're still gonna come for you until you apologize to this child. And as far as I'm concerned, he does need to apologize to Blue Ivy and to Beyonce, and hopefully she, will forgive you and move on. But this is just ridiculous, I think personally, and leave kids out of this discussion. If you want to be, ratchet and stuff, leave the babies out of it. She doesn't deserve that. Blue Ivy is going to read this one day, if she hasn't already.
Right?
She's going to hear about this. And people were making a big stink, too. Like a big stink. We had a full petition about the baby's hair. Really, Black people?
Yeah.
Really?
Well, we have a long way to go.
Oh, my gosh. But with that being said, we do want to exit on a positive note. And that is, we have to have grace for each other. I understand that. But we do have to hold each other accountable. And as Black people, I feel if we do that for each other, we have a better chance of doing better in the future. So, Saucy Santana, you's flat wrong. You dead wrong. You all the way wrong. Mm-hmm. Apologize to the baby. But on a better note, Blue Ivy, you're a beautiful little girl. You look so much like your mama. You really do. And I can't wait to see you grow up into a gorgeous, intelligent, and beautiful young lady. I can't wait because I know there's great things to come because your parents, they don't play. Okay? They're out here in these streets making sure that you have a way. So I can appreciate that. And with that said, we do hope that your hearts and minds were activated on this week's show. Whether you lead with your heart or your mind, stay passionate, stay thoughtful. We'll holla back. Bye.
Bye.